Most people spend their lives searching for a big breakthrough. They wait for a lucky break, a perfect opportunity, or a sudden change in circumstances that will finally turn things around. But the truth is, the difference between winners and losers is rarely dramatic. It's simple, it's quiet, and it's happening every single day. Personal responsibility is the moment a person takes control of their life instead of negotiating with excuses. It is the decision to stop pointing outward and start looking inward for the cause and the cure. The day someone accepts that their results are largely shaped by their choices, not their circumstances, they step into a position of power. Until then, life feels unpredictable, unfair, and out of reach because control has been handed over to chance, people, or events. When responsibility is avoided, progress slows. People explain their situation rather than change it. They blame the economy, their upbringing, their age, or their lack of opportunity, not realizing that explanations do not alter outcomes. Responsibility, on the other hand, creates clarity. It forces an honest assessment of habits, decisions, and standards. It asks a simple but uncomfortable question. What am I doing that is producing this result? That question alone can change the direction of a life. Taking responsibility does not mean denying challenges or pretending life is easy. It means understanding that while you may not control everything that happens, you always control how you respond. Two people can face the same setback, yet one grows stronger while the other grows bitter. The difference is not the event, but the ownership taken afterward. Responsibility transforms problems into lessons and obstacles into training grounds. Once a person accepts responsibility, excuses lose their value and action gains urgency. Time is no longer wasted waiting for permission, motivation, or perfect conditions. Improvement becomes intentional, daily, and measurable. Growth begins the moment blame ends, and from that moment forward, life starts responding differently because the individual has chosen to lead their own life instead of reacting to it. Daily disciplines are the quiet force that shapes a person's future long before the results are visible. Most people underestimate small actions because they seem insignificant in the moment. Yet, life rewards consistency, not intensity. The difference between progress and regret is often found in what someone chooses to practice every day, especially when no one is watching and no immediate reward is offered. Every achievement is preceded by habits that prepared the ground. Reading a few pages each day may not feel productive, but over time it builds wisdom and perspective. Saving a small amount regularly may appear slow, yet it creates security and freedom. Practicing a skill briefly, but consistently develops confidence and competence. These disciplines are simple, but they are not easy because they require patience and faith in the process rather than excitement from instant results. Neglect works the same way. Small errors in judgment, repeated daily, quietly accumulate into major problems. Skipping preparation, avoiding learning, and delaying effort do not cause immediate damage, which is why they are so tempting. The price is paid later when options become limited and effort becomes heavier. Discipline weighs ounces, but regret weighs tons, and the scale is determined by daily choices. A person who understands the power of discipline does not wait for motivation. They act first, knowing that motivation follows action, not the other way around. They structure their days intentionally, realizing that how they live today is a rehearsal for how they will live tomorrow. Over time, these small, steady practices create momentum, character, and results that seem extraordinary to others, even though they were built through ordinary actions, repeated with purpose and patience. Life does not respond to wishes, complaints, or intentions. It responds to choices. Every result, whether welcomed or regretted, can usually be traced back to a decision made earlier, often a small one that seemed unimportant at the time. People often believe their circumstances control their outcomes, but circumstances are simply the environment in which choices are made, not the force that decides the result. Two individuals can be born into the same conditions, face the same challenges, and be given the same opportunities, yet arrive at very different destinations. The difference lies in how they choose to think, act, and respond. One person uses difficulty as an excuse to stop, while another uses it as a reason to grow stronger. The event is neutral. The interpretation and response give it power. When people blame circumstances, they surrender their ability to influence their future because they place control outside themselves. Choice is where personal power lies. Even when options appear limited, there is always a decision to be made about attitude, effort, and direction. Choosing to learn instead of complain, to act instead of delay, or to persist instead of quit reshapes outcomes over time. These choices may not change the situation immediately, but they change the person. And when the person changes, results follow. Understanding this principle brings both freedom and responsibility. Freedom comes from knowing that the future is not fixed by the past. Responsibility comes from recognizing that progress cannot be outsourced. Life will not adjust itself to comfort or convenience. It simply keeps moving, recording decisions, and delivering their results. When someone accepts that their choices carry more weight than their circumstances, they stop waiting for life to improve and start making decisions that improve life. Consistency is what turns ordinary effort into extraordinary outcomes. Many people overestimate what can be done in a day and underestimate what can be accomplished in a year. They begin with enthusiasm, but without consistency, enthusiasm fades and results disappear. What separates average lives from exceptional ones is not talent, luck, or intelligence, but the ability to return to the same positive actions again and again, regardless of mood or conditions. Exceptional results are rarely the product of dramatic moments. They are built quietly through repetition and patience. Showing up every day to improve a skill, refine a habit, or strengthen a mindset may feel uneventful, but each repetition reinforces identity. Over time, consistency changes who a person becomes, not just what they achieve. The individual who practices daily starts to see challenges differently because discipline has replaced doubt and routine has replaced resistance. Inconsistent effort creates inconsistent results. Starting and stopping, committing and quitting, or working only when inspired produces frustration and self-doubt. Progress demands reliability, the willingness to do what needs to be done, even when it feels boring or uncomfortable. Consistency builds trust with oneself, and that trust fuels confidence. When someone knows they will follow through, momentum becomes natural. Average thinking looks for shortcuts and quick rewards. Exceptional thinking respects the process and commits to it. The person who stays consistent does not rush results because they understand that time is an ally when actions are aligned. Each small, repeated effort compounds quietly, widening the gap between those who persist and those who drift. Over time, what once seemed like minor daily actions becomes the defining difference between an ordinary path and a life marked by steady growth and uncommon achievement. Every life is shaped by decisions that often appear too small to matter. What to read, how to spend an hour, whether to speak up or stay silent, whether to act now or postpone until tomorrow. These moments rarely feel important, yet they quietly set the direction of a person's future. Large successes and major failures are almost never sudden. They are the result of many small decisions repeated over time. People tend to look for big changes to create big results, but life works on the principle of accumulation. A small improvement made daily strengthens ability and confidence. A small neglect repeated daily weakens discipline and limits options. The process is slow enough to be ignored, which is why so many people are surprised by where they end up. They did not choose failure in one bold decision. They drifted there through a series of minor choices that felt harmless in the moment. Understanding this principle brings awareness to everyday behavior. It encourages intention in moments that once felt automatic. Choosing to invest time in learning rather than distraction. Choosing preparation over comfort. Choosing patience over impulse may not bring immediate applause, but these decisions compound. Each choice adds a layer to character, shaping habits that either work for or against long-term goals. In time, these small decisions create a noticeable gap between people who once stood at the same starting point. One path leads to growth, opportunity, and confidence. The other leads to limitation and regret. The difference is not intelligence or circumstance, but the quiet discipline of choosing wisely in small moments, knowing that each decision casts a vote for the future being built